Welcome to Bologna Lips and the Woolly Worm. This is a
special edition.
Special edition. Yeah,
you knew to say that, and I had to jump
news. Our whole purpose of doing the show is to try to solve the world's problems with just conversations between friends, and I think we've got some problems.
Yeah, and the problem is one of the problems is that they happen so fast we can't stay on top of it.
Right.
We need to be more on top of things. We're a couple weeks behind as far as recording and then putting it out there. But with the events of this past week, the coup.
Yeah. The attempted coup. I don't even know.
Attempted coup. Yeah.
I don't know how coups are usually done with military or like there's a bunch of kidnappings and stuff involved. This just seemed like it was a Coup-Laid. Like it was like they like.
I was trying to think of something to water it down a little bit. That's good. We'll go with the Coup-Laid.
In the coup, they were going to aid in the coup of I don't know what happened. It was very strange. And Dave, you didn't even watch.
I didn't. I was working on some fun marketing stuff for a game that a buddy of mine is trying to put together some ads for. And I was I'm on my computer, sitting next to my phone, and I see a text come across, knowing that it's January 6th, and I had heard things that people were going to be down. I hadn't watched the news all day.
Right.
And get a text from our pastor that says, "Hey, guys, I think it's time to pray for the nation." I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So I flipped on, jumped to CNN.com and FoxNews.com and all that just to see what was going on. And I'm like, I read it for maybe 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm not watching this crap. I'll go ahead and pray for the country, but I'm done with this. I'm not going to ruin my day.
Yeah. Well, I have a 3-year-old, and she doesn't do TV. We don't do any TV with her. No screen time, except for she gets a movie day once a week. And so I didn't know what was going on. I knew that we were supposed to be, it was supposed to be the day that Biden got confirmed and blah, 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 blah. And there were people marching. I knew all that going in. Well, my phone started blowing up, and it wasn't my pastor. It was worse. It was my mother. And she was like, "Are you watching this, idiot?" And she just starts going off, and it's literally like,
wait, did she call you? Are you watching this, idiot?
No, there was no.
Are you watching this, idiot?
I assumed she was talking about whoever was talking. I'm not sure if it was Giuliani or if it was Trump or what, but it was during that time frame. And I said, what's going on now? And so she literally like text after text after text after text. And it's like, well, now they've done this. Oh, my goodness, they've breached the Capitol. Oh, my goodness, this is going on. Oh, this person's taking a picture with their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. And like, I mean, if you've ever watched an episode of Cops with a redneck or an old black lady, like where they talk the whole time, that's what was happening.
That's happening on your phone.
And I was just like, this is insane. And I'm telling my wife what's going on. And my wife's like, don't get yourself worked up. And I'm like, well, how can I not? Like...
Yeah, and the only way not to is to just not watch. But I still kind of caught myself going like to Twitter, I'd go back to the news for a second just to see if anything was going on. And and that's why when Danny, our producer, asked if we wanted to do a quick show about it, I thought we can, but I don't even know what to say. I didn't watch, so I saw what everybody saw as far as the pictures that were on there, and I'm the kind of guy, I have no heart for anything evil. So when I see people storming the house, I'm like, shoot them in the knees. I don't even care. They should know better than that. Doesn't bother me at all. Same with looting. Now I'm not talking protesting. I'm talking the violent stuff and the you just shoot somebody in the knee once. They'll learn. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's right, left. Stop doing stupid stuff.
Right.
It makes me angry.
And I think for me, what made me the most angry wasn't the fact that they protested and people were marching. That's absolutely fine with me. I have no problem with peaceful protesting.
Right.
But when they stormed the Capitol, what made me mad was that they stormed the Capitol and while Senate was in session, joint session, and they were armed. So, ideally it could have ended really badly. And it did, but like way worse.
Right.
But then I think what bothered me the most is I am a person who believes in the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't really care that much about the organization because we get mixed messages from them all the time. Like we said, I've talked to you about this before. But the Black Lives Matter movement that happened where there was a march in Washington. I've been there during, inaugurations and during civil rights marches and celebrations. And the security does not let Black people do anything close to buildings. I'm pretty sure there was a woman who got shot for doing a U-turn near the Capitol at one point, and because they thought she might have had bombs in there. It was a Black woman, and I'm like, these guys are. There's no way you can tell me that they thought that they were just tourists with all the flags,
right,
and the uniform hats, and the one guy was dressed up like a furry who had gotten lost in the wilderness. I don't know what was going. Like it was. How do they get to walk in? Like I wouldn't let them walk into a Walmart without some kind of discussion.
I agree completely. And it's let's talk about that for a second, because how do people, I don't know what I'm even trying to say because I'm so frustrated. Like when you see somebody doing something awful like that, and so we know that was for the most part Republicans, and probably all Republicans, doing what they did yesterday. So when you, right?
Dave, I actually have a problem with that. See, here's the thing. I think that there are very extreme people on either side of the aisle, the extreme liberals and extreme conservatives. And there are also people who have drank the Coup-Laid and just believe whatever comes out of the president's mouth or whoever's in his party talking on his behalf. And I don't feel that those are real Republicans. Like the Republicans I know are not on board with this stuff.
Well, and what I'm getting at though is like Republicans look at that and they're like, okay, those are bad people, but they still kind of agree with Trump, so they're kind of on my side. So they're not as bad as the far left people that are doing the same type of stuff, maybe not breaking into Congress, but the same type of bad stuff. So those are Foot Locker. Yeah, those are super evil people, and shoot them all.
Yeah.
But it's like when you kind of maybe agree with a few things that the people that are doing awful things, it's easier for you to sit back and say, okay, that's bad, but you're not as nervous, you're not as worried about it.
Does that make sense? It makes total sense. Here's one thing I really like about you, Dave. What you said, it was a few episodes ago. You said, I would rather somebody give me somebody's policies, no party involved, and I can decide for myself if I like that policy. And then if it's Democrat, it's Democrat. If it's Republican, it's Republican.
Right.
I think the same has to be said here, because what I'm noticing the most is the inconsistencies that I see among conservative friends and even liberal friends. There's liberal friends who are cheering on looting, 3 months ago. And then we're like, why are these yahoos out here marching? And granted, I don't think you can lump those in, because one was over the wrongful death of somebody or multiple people or a race of people. And the other one was over what people are thinking is the wrongful election. With very little evidence. There was video footage of people being kneeled on and shot in the back and so on and so forth. There's no real evidence that we've seen about the voter fraud that they're claiming. Right. So I think to lump those in is very bad. But then on top of that, like if you don't like violent acts, then you shouldn't like violent acts in general. And this is one thing that makes me mad about a lot of my conservative friends today is they'll make a stance like, I'm pro-life. And they'll say, I don't think we should be killing babies. And I'm like, great. What about when they're born? What happens? What about the ones who are locked in cages at our southern border? Shouldn't you be pro-life for them as well? What about the ones who are getting killed by cops while they're sleeping in their beds in their homes in Louisville? Shouldn't you be pro-life for those people? What about the death penalties that Trump has sped up? Wouldn't that be against being pro-life? Like I just want people to be consistent. I don't care what your political beliefs are.
It's easy to pick certain things and be behind them or against them.
Right.
But when you step back and look at, 30,000 feet, you're like, that's so much more than just that one little issue. Where do I draw the line? Where do I stop caring?
Right. And I think you have to make those decisions for yourself. And I think one way you do that is by what we're doing here, by having discussions with people who have a sense of intelligence and some kind of tact about them. I've been arguing with people on the internet for the last 2 days because I put out a couple of memes. One of them was a joke because people were calling for Trump's arrest. The joke was, I hope that he comes to the Oval Office and Chris Hansen is there to read the transcript
I saw that.
of his call with the Georgia people. and then send them outside. You know, like, and I hashtagged it to catch a president. That's funny.
That's good. It was really good.
And the problem people were having with it, I guess, was because it was Trump. If you said it with Barack Obama, it would have still been funny. If you said it with George Bush, funny. Clinton, funny. Like if it was a president who people were threatening to arrest, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I have people coming at me, yelling at me, telling me that, you know, this is wrong. And then the worst part is their sources are always a YouTube video or some cousin of a person's pastor's friend's dog walker. Like it's so convoluted. I'm like, that's not a real source. Like, but I think that's my big issue is that we're having so many problems because people won't have discussions. People won't actually talk about what's going on in a way that makes sense. And so they can't make those lines that you're talking about where they say, like for me, I'm pro-life. I want people to live and be healthy. Yeah. However, I'm also pro-choice. I don't cheer on abortions. I'm not at a clinic in a cheerleading outfit hoping people are going in.
Right.
But I understand that women go through things I'll never understand. So it's not my right to tell them what to do with their body. The same way I don't encourage people to drink, but if they drink, then they drink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
well, here's an example of like what I was thinking. And this is, again, I don't mind being transparent at all. I saw the picture because I'm trying to, every time I see something like this happening, I think about this podcast that we're doing and how, you know, how we talk about it, which normally I would not talk to anybody about it.
Right. You know? Yeah. You would just hold it inside. And then people, the worst part about that is people would assume that they know what you think because you're a conservative or you're a liberal or whatever.
Right. So you see the picture of the guy walking through Congress with the rebel flag.
Oh, with the Confederate flag. Yeah. It's the rebel flag. You're right. That's not the actual Confederacy flag. That is the rebel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see that. And of course I'm like, this guy's an idiot. But then in my head, I'm like, now, how different would I feel if that was a black guy walking through there with a Black Lives Matter sign or flag? Would I be like, we got to do something quick because black people are in there? As opposed to, well, that's a conservative. He's awful. Get him out of there. But I kind of get it. He's upset with, you know, not that I thought that way, but I can see how people, there's just, I don't know. It just drives me crazy.
I think that's the problem is there's so many false equivalencies. And so what you have is like people like Fox News and other people are putting out that narrative of, well, if this was a Black Lives Matter flag, would people be upset? Well, Black Lives Matter never called for a secession of, you know, the entire southern half of the country in order to own a people. They just said, hey, stop shooting us. And we want to maybe take some money away from the police and do some other things. Like that's their marketing is terrible. Some of the things that happened during their protests were not good. But they did not leave the country and lead an insurrection and a treacherous war that lasted years.
Yeah.
I think that's a false equivalency. Now, how would you feel if you're in Germany and someone comes through their capital with a Nazi flag? That's a more equivalent answer. Because they did divide a nation and kill a bunch of people and start a war. That makes more sense to me. I saw that picture and it was tragic and it was terrible. And I think the people justifying it were equally tragic and terrible. At the same time, if you're a person who supports the rebel flag, which I know there's a lot of those in the South where I live and even in Ohio where you are, they're probably impressed by this guy. He got the Confederate flag into the Capitol, which never happened. No, they never got that close. He's he got a gold star as far as his white supremacist friends are concerned. And I don't know. It is. I think you have to have these conversations where people actually talk about what happened and how they feel. I was hurt by the fact that the Capitol Police are shown waving people in and moving gates.
I heard about that. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. Yeah,
that's problematic for me. You know,
that's a little ridiculous. That might be an understatement.
Sam's Club has better security than the Capitol, and we just spent $75 billion in some.
I saw that meme that we spent all this money on military, and a bunch of hillbillies just took over Congress.
Just took over, like Mountain Dew cans everywhere. the amount of mismatched camouflage that was going through that.
They're going to have to don't drink anything that looks like a Pepsi. It's probably it's most likely dip.
That is a Kodiak wintergreen if I've ever seen one.
I don't know who would just go by and say, yeah, that might be Coke. Let me take a drink. So
there's a lot of homeless people in DC. There's a lot of and somebody is very upset right now. the whole thing is tragedy, and it's a farce. And I think the other thing is, people didn't claim the responsibility that they should have. And that's the other problem. Like there was a lady who got killed, and that is tragic. I don't think that's a good thing at all. But people are raising her up as a martyr, or somebody who was this amazing patriot. And I'm like, if she was a black lady who was asleep in her home, she'd be getting her criminal history pulled. People would talk about who she dated in the past, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah. And I don't think that that's right for either one of them to be victimized further after they have died.
Right.
But don't act like they're martyrs and saints, like this. And these are, again, very different people. But, like she was breaking through a window at the Capitol and she got shot by security. Like
it's really frustrating. It's just more hypocrisy that we saw yesterday. It's just this time it's on the side of conservatives, and which is like we've talked. It's my side. I'm more conservative than liberal, and I just can't put up with hypocrisy. And I think if we leave this episode with anything else, it's please be consistent and make sure you understand what you're talking about. But if you're a senator who is encouraging people to storm the Capitol or to challenge these votes after you had lost 50 court cases, and you were talking about how you're going to take over the Congress meeting, and you guys should march down to the Capitol, blah blah. You helped cause this, and you need to claim some responsibility. And I think if you're a progressive, you've got to look back at your timeline. What were you encouraging 3 months ago or 4 months ago when people were out marching and protesting? Granted, it was different, but what were you encouraging? Were you saying, well, when people loot, it is what it is? Like that. You're right.
I don't think you can be. I'm all for peaceful protests. I didn't have a problem with them marching and saying, the election was stolen, even though that was not proven. I didn't have a problem with any of that. But once you start to do physical harm to other individuals and to start damaging a lot of property, breaking out windows and going into people's offices and taking, these are government files. How much top secret stuff could be in those Congress people's offices?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have security clearances and all this other stuff. Now Bob from over in Cherokee, North Carolina, took it, and he I don't know if there's a Bob from Cherokee, North Carolina. Cherokee, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sure there is. He's probably got a picture of Abraham Lincoln hanging on his wall now.
Right. Yeah, but
that he picked up yesterday.
Well, I actually looked up. There's 3 Cracker Barrels in the DC metro area, and I believe that all of them have gotten new decorations courtesy of the Capitol raid that happened yesterday. There's no way they didn't. Somebody came through and they left their podium, like something. These Cracker Barrels they racked up yesterday.
They need to start hitting some garage sales down around that area just to get their stuff back.
Get their stuff back. If I'm Pelosi, I'm at every garage and yard sale that's happening in a 100-mile radius.
That's right.
for the next month and a half at least. It just I don't know. Here's what I would encourage people to do. If you want any advice from old Uncle Joe, just be consistent and do your research and come to conclusions on your own. Quit being people who just listen to whatever the media or your candidate is telling you over and over again, and talk to everyday people who you actually interact with. There's never a day in my life where I interact with Donald Trump. There's never a day in my life where I'm hanging out with Joe Biden.
Right.
But I've got conservative friends here who I talk to on a daily basis. But if we don't talk about these things and how we feel about them, then they're not going to know where I stand. I'm not going to know where they stand. And the other thing is, when you talk about them, be a human being. Don't just start shouting. Don't just see things from your perspective. My college that I went to has a saying, our quote is, God is made of one blood, all people of the earth. And we're a very liberal college. But I will tell you, some people take that to mean only people you agree with. That's not the case. That is not the case. When God made all the children of the world, it's not. It wasn't just black and white. It wasn't just red and yellow. It was red and yellow, black and white. All of them are involved. You got to accept everybody. If you agree with them, disagree with them, whatever, and have actual cordial conversations that seem to lead somewhere instead of just shouting matches.
And the hope is that most people are like that, and we see the awful on media and internet. And maybe they don't talk as much as they should, but they would if they had the opportunity, and maybe they need to make the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And I've got to believe that majority of the people are more sensible than what we see.
They are
out of the extremes on either side.
Yeah. Yep. So that was good. That was good just to talk about like a little bit at least.
We just fell down a lipworm hole.
Oh, nice. Lipworm hole. That's good. You just come up with that. How long? It's been a while since we recorded an episode. How long have you had that?
I just thought about that one. I saw the words above my head and I just thought about it. But yeah, I think it is important to, like, sometimes things happen and we just need to vent and get it out. And this is, for me, I feel better.
Yeah. Well, the fact that I'm just thankful that it lasted only as long as it did.
Yeah.
Because just for my own mentality, you know, I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to wake up the next day to find out what else had happened through the night. It's just, it's over. Yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys around January 20th then with our next vent session.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully they realize it doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh, I have to say this, but there were pipe bombs too. Like, can we just acknowledge that? I don't know if you know this, but I feel like we've had this whole narrative about the insurrection. No one is talking about the fact there were actual bombs there, and I don't know who put them there. It could,
none of them went off though, right?
None went off, thank goodness.
Yeah,
and maybe they weren't meant to. Maybe they were an idle threat kind of thing. But let's look. People, if you're one of these people who are on this side and you're going this extreme, there's got to be a better way.
Again, it could have been so much worse.
So much worse. Yeah. But we'll pray for America. We'll
absolutely. I did hear
will get better.
Yeah, and I did hear somebody say, I'll shut up after this, that I've heard a couple. The folks have had their 7-day trial of 2021 and their free trial and they're ready to go ahead and cancel.
Yep.
And then I also heard somebody say, you know what, I'm just going to consider today December 39th, 2020. Just keep it going until I'm ready to move on to 2021.
My favorite video literally is this lady and she's got like purple hair and she just like walks up to the sign and it says 2021 6 days without incident. And she like flicks the 6 off of there and throws a 0 up and then like walks away disgusted. Like that's we are literally like the worst factory in the world right now. Well, every week there's something.
Well, I don't know why we just all of a sudden thought that at 2021 everything was going to get back to normal.
Because we're idiots.
Hopeful idiots.
We are hopeful to a fault. Every year people are like, New Year, we're going to leave all this stuff behind. No, that's not how it works. You're going to be writing 2020 on your checks until March. So
I just did earlier today.
Yeah, I think the year doesn't start till then. We're just going to claim it then.
Yep. All right, man. Good talk.
Yeah, good talk. You guys enjoy the rest of your month.
Whatever.
This feels like a year already.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll see you.